Good afternoon.
Hello.
What date is it today?
Today is October 2nd, 2022. And it's been a very long time since we've had a little session like this together. Planning session.
What are we planning?
We're planning the next phase of our life and how we intend it to unfold and what the elements of that unfolding will be, and it all looks very inviting. I'm very excited to be here at this juncture in order to give birth to a new set of desires and intentions. In 6 months, I anticipate being financially healthy and with a net positive cash flow that will enable me to carry out the next stage of my plans.
And this is an appropriate time given that is the new year.
The new year, yes. It's the new year. It's the harvest season. It's the season of the incoming fruits of the harvest. It's the time of plenty, and it's a time to celebrate.
And also receive the fruits of your labor.
Yes. It's a time of ingathering. It's a good time to explore new options and new opportunities. The local wildlife is getting ready for the winter, and so aren't we.
What's our big business plan?
A big business plan is to mine horse poop for its tremendous value to a certain sector of the population. You've accomplished sufficient testing of the potential market to determine that there is indeed a demand for a product which you are quite happy and able to produce in sufficient quantity to meet the needs of your intended market. Creating value from people's desires. What people desire, they value. By meeting those desires and those needs, you provide satisfaction. It's an ancient business model. It has worked successfully for hundreds of generations of humans on the planet that have succeeded in realizing their dreams. So, that's our mission.
And now we're going to ask spirits to guide us and give us some inspiration.
And warnings if necessary. Just mind those red flags. Number 33, retreat. The power of the dark is ascending. The light retreats to security so that the dark cannot encroach upon it. This retreat is a matter not of man's will, but of natural law. Therefore, in this case, withdrawal is proper. It is the correct way to behave in order not to exhaust one's forces. In the calendar, this hexagram is linked with the 6-month, July-August, in which the forces of winter are already showing their influence. And I should mention there's a footnote. It says, the idea expressed by this hexagram is similar to that in the saying of Jesus, But I say unto you that ye resist not evil. The judgment retreats, success in what is small, perseverance furthers. Conditions are such that the hostile forces favored by the time are advancing. In this case, retreat is the right course, and it is through retreat that success is achieved. But success consists in being able to carry out the retreat correctly. Retreat is not to be confused with flight. Flight means saving oneself under any circumstances, whereas retreat is a sign of strength. We must be careful not to miss the right moment while we are in full possession of power and position. Then we shall be able to interpret the signs of the time before it is too late and to prepare for provisional retreat instead of being drawn into a desperate life and death struggle. Thus, we do not simply abandon the field to the opponent, we make it difficult for him to advance by showing perseverance in single acts of resistance. In this way, we prepare while retreating for the counter-movement. Understanding the laws of a constructive retreat of this sort is not easy. The meaning that lies hidden in such a time is important. Mountain under heaven, the image of retreat. Thus, the superior man keeps the inferior man at a distance, not angrily, but with reserve. The mountain rises up under heaven, but owing to its nature, it finally comes to a stop. Heaven, on the other hand, retreats upward before it into the distance and remains out of reach. This symbolizes the behavior of a superior man toward a climbing inferior. He retreats into his own thoughts as the inferior man comes forward. He does not hate him, for hatred is a form of subjective involvement by which we are bound to the hated object. The superior man shows strength, heaven, in that he brings the inferior man to a standstill, mountain, by his dignified reserve. Retreat is a hexagram that has been a constant recurring theme over the last couple of years, because we're at the end of a 3-year cycle now. That started in 2019. That was a brand new cycle for us, and it went through and ended this year. So it's very intense activities that brought us all kinds of challenges and all kinds of gifts along the way. We're at the stage of the retreat where the counter measures can be taken in preparation for an advance in the future. So, as opposed to being at the beginning of the retreat where you're trying to figure out how you're going to get the hell out of the danger without getting totally dispersed and destroyed. So,
We did well.
we did well, considering our situation and what we were dealing with and who we were dealing with. We ended up in a very good position for regrouping and advancing in the direction that we choose to advancing. So anyway, so here's the moving lines. 6 in the second place means he holds him fast with yellow oxhide. No one can tear him loose. Yellow is the color of the middle. It indicates that which is correct and in line with duty. Oxhide is strong and not to be torn. While the superior men retreat and the inferior press after them, the inferior man, represented here, holds on so firmly and tightly to the superior men that the latter cannot shake him off. And because he is in quest of what is right and so strong in purpose, he reaches his goal. Thus the line confirms what is said in the judgment. In what is small, here equivalent to the inferior man, perseverance furthers. So this speaks to people that embody elements that you are trying to rid yourself of, the so-called inferior elements, the undesirable elements, which in this case are elements that are somehow preventing you from reaching the goal that you seek. And those same elements are so aligned with your own purpose that they are going to accompany you to your goal. So you might as well accept them and utilize them as part of your strategy. So that's what that's about. And then 9 in the third place means a halted retreat is nerve-wracking and dangerous. To retain people as men and maidservants brings good fortune. When it is time to retreat, it is both unpleasant and dangerous to be held back, because then one no longer has freedom of action. In such a case, the only expedient is to take into one's service, so to speak, those who refuse to let one go, so that one may at least keep one's initiative and not fall helplessly under their domination. But even with this expedient, the situation is far from satisfactory, for what can one hope to accomplish with such servants? It makes me think of somebody. It's been an important element in our life recently. So the last line, 9 at the top, means cheerful retreat. Everything serves to further. The situation is unequivocal. Inner detachment has become an established fact, and we are at liberty to depart. When one sees the way ahead thus clearly, free of all doubt, a cheerful mood sets in, and one chooses what is right without further thought. Such a clear path ahead always leads to the good. So, there you go.
Pretty darn clear, isn't it, sweetheart?
All's well that ends well. That changes to 47, oppression, exhaustion. The lake is above, water below. The lake is empty, dried up. Exhaustion is expressed in yet another way. At the top, a dark line is holding down 2 light lines. Below, a light line is hemmed in between 2 dark lines. The upper trigram belongs to the principle of darkness, the lower to the principle of light. Thus, everywhere superior men are oppressed and held in restraint by inferior men. Isn't that the truth of the situation? The judgment, oppression, success, perseverance. The great man brings about good fortune, no blame. When one has something to say, it is not believed. Times of adversity are the reverse of times of success, but they can lead to success if they befall the right man. When a strong man meets with adversity, a strong woman, she remains cheerful despite all danger, and this cheerfulness is the source of later successes. It is that stability which is stronger than fate. They must have been reading the Course in Miracles. He who lets his spirit be broken by exhaustion certainly has no success. But if adversity only bends a person, it creates in them a power to react that is bound in time to manifest itself. No inferior being is capable of this. Only the great man brings about good fortune and remains blameless. It is true for the time being, outward influence is denied him because his words have no effect. Therefore, in times of adversity, it is important to be strong within and sparing of words. The image, there is no water in the lake, the image of exhaustion. Thus the superior man stakes his life on following his will. When the water has flowed out below, the lake must dry up and become exhausted. That is fate. This symbolizes an adverse fate in human life. In such times, there is nothing a man can do but acquiesce in his fate and remain true to himself. This concerns the deepest stratum of his being, for this alone is superior to all external fate. A very good synopsis of our recent, but not complete experience of the last 3 years. We still have a number of areas that need processing to reach completion. Things that were set in motion over the last 3 years that are kind of have to evolve at their own pace, apparently. So we're still part of that cycle, but for us it's also a time of renewal and advancement, because what we're doing today is just strategizing and forecasting and prophesizing the future that we want, and then allowing the Spirit to show us how to bring this about, because we're definitely not doing this under our own guidance. But we're depending on others to prepare the way and to indicate to us what's next. But it looks very hopeful, because I believe we have all the resources and the tools and the experience. Now, let's not forget that. We have actual real life experience, which we could not have come across by any other way than of having gone through those experiences, which have now given us the wisdom and the foresight and the means to advance in the direction of our choosing. And that's what retreat is all about. I mean, even when you're dancing, you have to retreat. You know, one partner has to retreat so the other can advance. You know? Anyway, I think we've been amply blessed already with lovely accommodations and a very delightful situation in which to spend the next period of time, creating that which we desire. So, okay. Here's to you. Cheers. L'chaim.
Happy New Year.
Anyway, we could do these as interactive. You know, the equipment is out there. You know what I mean? Hey, I'll cast in a hexagram for you and tell you what I think it means. Could be one of the perks of being a platinum subscriber. Okay, so now that we've given the universe its job, we can have lunch or something. Don't you have a horse to ride?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.